What's up, family? Back at it again with the voiceover training videos. You know what time it is. Here we are with a push day. This is my first push day back after everything. We are on the cruise right now. And here we are with Atlantis incline press. I love this machine. He just recently got it in the past month. So I've been able to, throw this in the workouts now. I freaking love this thing. It is absolutely awesome for the chest. And I really love the neutral grip there as well. It just allows, you to take some of that tension off the rotator cuff and stuff like that in the shoulder. So definitely love that thing. And here we go. 4.5 plates here. I can't remember what I got here, but I was feeling good and strong, and I'm really just trying to keep that peak strength through this cruise phase. So I know that I'm holding on to as much tissue as possible and potentially growing more too. I really want to try to get stronger because, like I said, I'm feeling really fresh and strong right now in the actual cruise. So I know that it was time to pull back. And yeah, I'm just really excited because I kind of got a new approach now, a new experiment, if you will. I don't even want to say that I'm experimenting and trying to, do things differently than everybody else, but I just kind of am in a position where I feel like that's the smartest thing to do right now. So I'm just going to try to grow as much as I possibly can and maintain as much as I possibly can on a cruise and very minimal doses. So right now I'm just literally on TRT with replacement dose of growth hormone as well. And we're going to just maximize training. We're going to maximize, recovery and being smart with volume, all that good stuff, and see what we can truly get out of just approaching bodybuilding from that perspective, keeping everything super clean on the labs, keeping everything really healthy. And then, when I can push again, just really getting, again, the most out of the least with, minimal dosages, things like that. Because I've just been one that I think has been, I see a good response out of something. Instead of riding that wave, I'll continue to escalate up basically till, we reach a point where it's all right, probably time to pull back because you just start not feeling the best and stuff like that. Where now I'm if things are good and I'm feeling good and I'm progressing in the gym and strength is maintaining, recovery is great, there's absolutely no need to push up. Obviously, in a contest prep or something, we would be definitely, approaching it a little bit differently. Towards the very end, I would guess you could say it's when you can layer in the cosmetic things and stuff like that, and you can really utilize compounds for the cosmetic effect. But now I'm just really focused on using what I need to be able to perform in the gym the best. Where, in the past, it's been kind of the approach of, all right, this is working, getting a good response, let's push it up and see if we grow quicker, that kind of thing, which does work. But I feel now it's hey, we've kind of rapidly grown the past few years. Let's just really maximize training and all that stuff, which I've always been very focused on and always improving training. But I've also allowed visual effects. I've even been coached that way in the past, where it's just we're after a specific visual effect that we're trying to get, so we're gonna escalate this up and see what happens, kind of thing. Now it's just let's just see what we can do performance wise and really focus on that. And then when it's time to peak for the show and things like that, we'll layer in what we need to for the cosmetic effect. Here we go with a drop down set on the pec flies. Did the first set full stack, and then felt was kind of heaving it a little bit towards the end. So lighten the weight up for the second one, just so I can really focus on driving that connection and, get the most out of those 2 sets that I am doing here. Where I do have 2 push days a week, but I'm also now throwing in arm day in there as well. So, not going to be able to go on this particular split. I kind of modified it the way it's originally was set up. It's a 3rd push day as well, so that will not be in there, but that's going to be swapped out for arms. So it's essentially 2 leg days, quads and hams split up, but I still do a squat pattern on hamstring days because I just do need to bring up quads still. And then we have, so it starts out legs, then it goes push, then it goes pull, then it goes rest, then it's going to be push, legs, and then it's going to be arms, rest. So 8-day rotation there. That's just something I feel like I've always responded well to, and my recovery feels really good right now, so I'm going to run with it. And then here we are. We've got the Watson. I love this thing, the Watson. I don't even know what you would call it, but it's great for, lateral raises. It's also great for pec flies if you really need to work on that lower pec. Just, setting it up really high and getting a high fly down to low it's amazing for that lower pec. But I've obviously been running the hell out of this for side laterals, and I think it's working for sure. Feels really good, and then you got that even tension all the way around in like a circular motion. So that's amazing. It's one advantage that you don't get from the cable, from a cable stack. Cable, you still get even tension all the way through, but this, you're getting that even tension all the way through, even in a circular motion. Like it's pretty interesting. It feels a little bit different than a cable. I definitely like it. You guys got to try that if you guys see one around, for sure. Watson makes great pieces too, so definitely a fan of Watson. This thing is smooth as butter. Like the way it tracks when you're trying to adjust it up and down and everything. It's got like a counterweight, it feels like, so it just slides and glides so effortlessly, sliding it up and down. It's definitely a quality piece, man. I love it. And these just feel so good. And you can set it, whatever height you need to, if you want to really target, the shortening of the shoulder, if you really want to target the stretch. You can kind of adjust that height as needed. And then you also have the option to rotate the actual handle around. So, the tension point's a little bit different even from that starting point height. So I really like that option as well with it. Keeps everything just, perfect, especially if you're a taller guy, man. Some machines and stuff, they just don't sit right. Like some machine lateral raises and stuff, you just don't even fit in them. So you got to definitely give it up to this thing right here for sure, because it works perfect. And then here we go, just one notch. This is the Atlantis flat press or decline. It's just one notch dropped. I don't know how I feel about how you kind of have to sit with it when you do it on the decline, but I do like how it feels when, because you got to use the leg pads there to kind of be able to really brace get the leg drive so you're not sliding down the thing. But I will say it definitely it had my pecs smoked. Like I'm still feeling them really good today, and this was 2 days ago. So definitely huge for connection there, and I definitely need to work on lower chest as well a little bit. Upper pec is pretty good. Obviously, always need more chest, but I definitely need to balance it out a little bit, so I'm trying to make sure I'm targeting this. See here, you see the way you kind of got to use the pad to get the leg drive. It's just not the same as driving with your feet off the ground. But I noticed when I was driving with my feet on the ground, I was, literally sliding myself back. And here we are with the cable side laterals now. And I got it set up where you see where, it's kind of like wrist height there. Really targeting that shortening of the shoulder. And this thing cooks me, man, especially after hitting the Watson machine and then going to these. Feel amazing. There you go, baby. Opening some Cheetos for my daughter. Shouldn't be letting her have those, but she's been eating really healthy, so I will let her have a little bit of junk here and there. She's 2 years old, so she eats turkey and rice, eggs and egg whites and English muffins and whole eggs and juice, tons of fruit. So I'll let her have a little bit of chips. She's already understanding what healthy and clean eating is, so can't be mad about it. But yeah, these are cooking me right here. You can see the delt firing there. This definitely lights them up, especially, like I said, after the sequence that I've been doing these, they're definitely cooking my shoulders. Back the camera up a little bit for this one too. I was sitting way too close. But there we go. Honestly, I'm super excited for this phase just coming up, because I'm really starting to see that I'm getting like a really clean assessment of my physique at all times. Like I know I can tell exactly what's water, what's fat. None of the lines are blurred or anything like that as far as what's what. Where I notice, when you're full blown and you're just so full all the time, like you almost can be so full that it'll hide like body fat and stuff. So this is cool to just be, having this approach now. And like I said, it's interesting. My work capacity in the gym is significantly higher. So I feel like I'm going to be able to grow like some really solid quality tissue here. And you can see they got the freaking Cutler casts on in the background. Shout out to the Cutler casts. We always got some type of good bodybuilding podcast playing or some Machiavelli motivation tapes on in the background. So yeah, Nick's the man at Just Perform for sure. Yeah, man, I'm super stoked though. Like I said, I'm just realizing that, one, I did grow a bunch of tissue during this phase, but two, like approaching this way now, I'm getting, like I said, just a really clean assessment of my physique at all times, and it's interesting how good my strength feels, and my work capacity has went up significantly. Just I think from not having the stress of higher, such high androgens, I think was really taxing me a little bit. I don't think that I needed that much, help, honestly, as far as from that department. Yes, that's going to enhance the look. So like I said, I'm not opposed to that towards the end when it's, showtime, we're peeled, we're really trying to maximize the look. But as far as like growing tissue, I definitely have a new insight and like new approach to everything. I feel like is gonna definitely make me 10 times the bodybuilder, because like I said, I just feel so much better. I'm able to really dial everything else in, that much better. My sleep's that much better. My cardio output is that much higher. My energy levels are that much higher. My, drive to just push it in the gym and, work capacity, like I said, is just that much higher right now. So I'm very excited to see what I can do. And like I said, just maximize the most out of the least. I know I've said that a few times. I said that in the most recent video that I posted, but that's truly my approach now. And like I said, I'm going to be using a lot more mild approaches from here on out, and really, ultimately relying on it. I know we've heard it so long, but now just really relying on bioidentical hormones, things that my body already knows what to do with, is the route that I'm going to take, and using things very mildly, and I'm going to see truly what I can do. And obviously, if I get the go ahead and it seems like everything is totally fine, I'm not opposed to, like I said, escalating things up a little bit more where I know they could be to be a little more optimal. But like I said, this is really a fun phase to be in too right now, to just kind of see what I can do. And like I said, I'm not going to take it much higher than this as far as when I do escalate the test dose back up. I think 500 mgs a test or something like that. Just to, really feel really good and maximize performance in the gym. I don't think I would need much more than that. And then, I'd probably sprinkle in a little bit of something else, but really keep things a lot more mild, like around that 1 gram mark. And that seems to be where my body responds the best, and it doesn't impede anything as far as sleep. It doesn't impede performance, because I have taken doses up to where I'm not able to perform in the gym as well, where, the pumps are great and everything, but it's almost like my performance is literally hindered because, sleep starts to take a dive. You just start feeling crappy, and then that kind of plays into your mental as well. And then you're just not able to push as hard, where if you're in there feeling really good, feeling really fresh, you're able to freaking just absolutely attack every set and push it really hard every time. So that's what I have been noticing myself in this phase of my journey so far. So I'm just here to, spread what I do and what I'm learning and what I'm discovering along the way. And hopefully, people take heed to it. I have gotten myself up to 301 pounds in pretty fair condition. And then, I've brought it back down to 270, and I'm able to, I was able to get up to 300 pounds when we were just using TRT. We weren't even pushing the cycle yet. And then we, threw in anabolics and stuff when I was already heavy. So like, take it from me that has grown and gotten pretty heavy and gotten pretty put on some significant size. I truly think the lower, slower, mild approach is the way to go, guys, because like I said, it's short-lived, especially once you start getting heavier. If you're pushing things a little too hard, when you're already that heavy and your training is already through the roof and you're already eating like a horse, there's no need to start scaling things up and stuff like that. Just keep it where it is and ride the wave, man, and just maximize that off season, really extend the length of it. That's where you're going to really see those solid, solidified gains stick for a lifetime. Is when you ride it out and you just allow that tissue to freaking marinate there, basically, and you don't have any reasons to pull back. and you also are able to hold it, you know, on very low doses on TRT. That's where you're going to really marinate in that size, and it's going to be, you know, solid, solidified tissue. And that's kind of what I'm realizing now. Now that I pulled everything back and I'm significantly leaner, I'm able to hold at this, you know, 270 pounds with nothing. Like I said, I'm on TRT, and you see the look right here. Able to hold a really good, fairly lean look for this, you know, phase that I'm in here. And we're going to probably get leaner from this point too, because we're holding calories fairly low. Especially on my rest days, I'm really pulling them down just to have a really nice calorie cycle, or, you know, carb cycle style approach. But we are keeping them fairly high on training days just to really drive that performance and stuff like that. But not mad about it at all. Here you see a little front double action, a little side chest. I'm pretty sure I run through all the shots here. And this was another thing I was talking about too. Like when you're starting to look a little better and, you know, you're not as out of condition and stuff, you're a lot more happy to pop the top off and go hit some shots and stuff, things like that. You just feel a lot better about everything. But back's okay. I do have a designated back day again in there, so hopefully we'll see some significant improvements in that as well, because I don't want to make my best body part, you know, I don't want it to fall behind to anything. So I want it to still stay awesome and just bring everything else up and make everything else awesome too. Not that my back is the best, but it definitely still needs work, but it was my best body part. Chest nice and full here. See a little ab and thigh action. Not bad, not bad. Definitely going to make sure these are improving over the coming weeks for sure. Like I said, even with the lower doses, I think I'm just going to harden up. Me and my coach have kind of talked about it. As long as performance is staying high, keeping calories in a good spot, we're going to continue to just get better, even though we're not using as much. Not that, because that's not the end all be all. You don't have to be, you know, running a full cycle to be getting what you need to done. So we're going to really just focus on training, like I said, eating properly, nailing this cardio, practicing all these shots, continuing to, you know, just build that mind-muscle connection so that we are flawless when we get back on stage again, which I'm hoping everything is a go and will be, you know, this December would be great. Front lat spread, definitely got to work on it, but it's coming together. Got to work on just staying in it a little better. Let's see, another front double. That's it. Love y'all.